Ladies and gentlemen, it has always fascinated me how stories shape us, and how, in turn, we shape stories to fit our ideals. You see, when I wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, I wanted to show the world through the eyes of a child, young scout, whose vision of fairness and justice was still untouched by the harsh complexities of life. But life, as you all know, has a way of peeling back those layers of innocence. Go Set a Watchman, my later work, was not meant to offer comfort. It was never intended to cradle the reader in simple notions of right and wrong. No, it was written to unsettle, to provoke, and to educate us about the uncomfortable terrain that lies between our youthful convictions and our adult realities. In Go Set a Watchman, Scout now Jean Louise Finch returns home to Macomb, but she doesn't find the home she remembers. She finds a town wrapped in prejudice, people clinging to outdated beliefs, and most painfully she finds her father. Atticus Finch not as the unshakable hero of her childhood, but as a man, flawed and fallible. And isn't that what growing up really is? A process of realizing that the people we idolize carry cracks beneath the surface. That no person, no institution, no belief system is immune to scrutiny. I wrote Go Set a Watchman to hold up that mirror, so each of us might confront the quiet disillusionments buried beneath nostalgia. Now, some readers were shocked. They asked, how could Atticus be both the defender of Tom Robinson and a man bound by the prejudices of his time? But I tell you, that's not a contradiction. That's humanity. We are raised to believe in black and white, but life operates mostly in shades of gray. And recognizing those shades, that's where real wisdom begins. We must, each of us, set a watchman over our conscience. A sentinel that questions, that challenges, that holds even our heroes accountable. Go Set a Watchman isn't about tearing down icons. It's about understanding that moral growth often starts with discomfort. We can revere the lessons of our childhood, but we must also evolve beyond them. We must ask difficult questions of ourselves, of our families, of our communities. It is easy to believe in justice when the world seems simple. It is harder to stand for justice when it means questioning those we love, those we thought infallible. But that is precisely when courage matters most. I encourage every reader, every student, every thinker embrace the discomfort of discovery. Let your conscience be your watchman and never fear the truth, however complicated it may be. Because only through questioning, through wrestling with our flawed humanity, can we ever hope to find not perfection, but understanding. Thank you. The journey from idealism to maturity is often uncomfortable, but necessary. It is a path that every human being at some point must walk, often unknowingly and sometimes unwillingly. In the early stages of life, especially during childhood and adolescence, we are fueled by a sense of idealism. The world appears simple, divided into good and evil, right and wrong, heroes and villains. Our hearts are pure, our minds are convinced, and our sense of justice is unshaken. We look at people, especially those we admire, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and believe they are flawless beacons of righteousness. But as we grow older, life slowly, and sometimes painfully, reveals its complexities. Maturity demands that we step beyond this comforting illusion. It forces us to acknowledge that even the people we love and admire can harbor beliefs, biases, and behaviors that disappoint us. It teaches us that justice is rarely absolute, and morality often exists in an uneasy tension between competing truths. This realization shakes the foundation of our beliefs, and with it, our understanding of the world. The heroes we once worshipped show cracks. The systems we once trusted reveal flaws. The ideals we once defended expose their imperfections. This uncomfortable awakening is at the heart of human growth. It is not a betrayal of our ideals, but a refinement of them. To mature is not to abandon hope or discard our sense of justice, but to apply those values with greater wisdom and deeper understanding. It requires the courage to stand in discomfort, to question the people, traditions, and systems we once accepted without hesitation. In literature, in history, and in our personal lives, this pattern repeats itself. Young people idealize their families, believing their parents to be wise, capable, and morally upright. But over time, they discover that even those closest to them are imperfect, struggling with fears, shaped by the prejudices of their time, sometimes falling short of the very principles they taught. This discovery can feel like betrayal, yet it is a vital step toward becoming independent thinkers. Similarly, communities and nations often uphold historical figures as icons of virtue, only to later uncover the complexities, contradictions, and mistakes that history chose to overlook. The discomfort that follows is not meant to dismantle society, but to mature it. By facing the uncomfortable truths of the past, we build a more honest, responsible present. The same principle applies within ourselves. As children, we see ourselves as inherently good, free from fault. But as we mature, we confront our own biases, selfish tendencies, and flawed decisions. That confrontation is rarely pleasant. It forces introspection, sometimes regret, and often change. But it is this very process, the discomfort of self-examination, that fosters personal growth. The journey from idealism to maturity is necessary because remaining in a state of blind idealism prevents real understanding. It keeps us sheltered in simplicity, unable to engage with the complexities that define human existence. Those who resist this journey often cling to rigid beliefs, unable to adapt, evolve, or empathize with perspectives that differ from their own. They live in a world of illusions, protected but stagnant. Conversely, those who embrace the discomfort of maturity develop resilience. They learn to navigate ambiguity, to balance competing values, to accept that people can be both good and flawed, that justice can be pursued even when perfection is unattainable. This mature perspective fosters compassion because it acknowledges struggle, not just in others, but within ourselves. In Go, said a Watchman, this theme is at the forefront. Jean-Louise Finch's return to Macomb is symbolic of every individual's return to reality after years spent in the comfort of idealistic beliefs. Her painful discovery that her father, Atticus Finch, is not the unshakable moral pillar she once believed, mirrors the universal moment when we all realize our heroes are human. The unease, the disillusionment, the emotional turmoil, these are the hallmarks of stepping out of idealism and into maturity. It is essential to understand that this discomfort is not a sign of failure, but of growth. The most profound learning often happens in the spaces where certainty dissolves, where questions replace answers, and where we must re-examine the very foundation of our beliefs. It is within these moments that wisdom is born. This journey is also necessary for the health of societies. Without challenging our ideals, societies stagnate. Progress requires questioning long-held assumptions, confronting inconvenient truths, and striving for a more nuanced understanding of justice, equality, and freedom. History shows us that every meaningful reform, be it civil rights, gender equality, or freedom of thought, has emerged from individuals and communities willing to endure the discomfort of challenging their idealism in pursuit of maturity. The journey from idealism to maturity is often lonely. Not everyone around us will be ready to walk that path. Some will resist, some will retreat into simplicity, others will accuse us of disloyalty or cynicism. But those who persist find that the destination is worth the struggle. They emerge with a deeper appreciation for complexity, with greater empathy for human imperfection, and with a renewed, more grounded sense of purpose. Therefore, while the journey from idealism to maturity may unsettle us, it remains one of the most vital transformations we can undergo. It is the bridge between naive belief and informed conviction, between blind admiration and authentic understanding. It is the uncomfortable yet necessary path toward seeing the world and ourselves as we truly are. Confronting the flaws in the people and systems we admire is the first step toward real understanding. It is one of the most difficult yet essential experiences every human being must face. From childhood, we are taught to look up to certain individuals. Our parents, our teachers, community leaders, historical figures. We grow attached to them not just for who they are, but for what they represent: safety, wisdom, justice, success. Similarly, we are raised within systems, families, schools, religious institutions, governments, that shape our understanding of right and wrong, often providing us with a sense of belonging and moral clarity. But as we grow older, the layers of idealism start to peel away. We notice contradictions. We see imperfections. We realize that even the people and structures we placed on pedestals are not immune to bias, mistakes, or even prejudice. This realization can be jarring, even painful. To question those we admire feels like a betrayal. It challenges the foundation of our beliefs, making us uncomfortable in ways we are rarely prepared for. Yet this discomfort is not a sign of disrespect or disloyalty. It is the first real glimpse of maturity. True understanding cannot exist within the boundaries of blind admiration. It can only emerge when we have the courage to acknowledge the flaws in the people and systems that influence us. When we confront these flaws, we are forced to recognize the complexity of human nature. No person is entirely good or entirely bad. Even those who have taught us the most valuable lessons may hold outdated views, harmful prejudices, or personal weaknesses. Likewise, systems built to promote justice and equality often contain within them the seeds of inequality and injustice. Turning away from these flaws does not make them disappear, it allows them to grow unchecked. But facing them, questioning them, and holding them accountable, this is the foundation of progress. This process also teaches us humility. When we accept that those we admire are imperfect, we are reminded that we, too, are flawed. We begin to see life with greater compassion, understanding that growth is not about being perfect, but about being willing to evolve. It allows us to separate the valuable lessons we've learned from individuals and institutions from the harmful elements that may exist alongside them. In this way, we preserve the good while working to correct the bad. Moreover, confronting flaws strengthens the integrity of our beliefs. Blind loyalty can be dangerous. It breeds complacency, prevents growth, and can even lead to the perpetuation of injustice. But when we critically evaluate those we respect, we refine our values. We no longer accept ideas simply because they are handed to us by authority figures. We accept them because they withstand scrutiny. This is how our principles become our own, not borrowed, not imposed, but earned through thoughtful examination. This principle applies equally to personal relationships, historical legacies, and societal structures. A child who questions a parent's decision, a student who challenges a teacher's outdated opinion, a citizen who critiques their government's policies. These are not acts of rebellion. They are acts of engagement. They reflect a commitment to truth, to fairness, and to the pursuit of deeper understanding. In literature, history, and real life, progress has always depended on individuals willing to confront uncomfortable truths. From civil rights movements to gender equality, from educational reforms to political accountability, change only happens when we stop romanticizing people and systems and start examining them with honest eyes. This examination does not require us to abandon those we admire, but to see them fully, as complex, imperfect beings capable of both good and harm. Ultimately, confronting flaws is not about tearing people down. It is about building a stronger, more honest foundation for growth within ourselves, our relationships, and our societies. It is the only path to real understanding, where admiration is not blind, but earned through truth, accountability, and a willingness to embrace complexity. Only then can we hope to create a world that reflects not our illusions, but our deepest, most courageous understanding of humanity.